Hi, this is Jeffrey at SmartyStreets. I frequently get asked, hey, can you do a demo for us? Is there a demo that we can look at? Well, our website was designed to be the demo, and if you ever do call in and ask for a personalized demo, this is pretty much what you're going to get. So I'll just show you now. So here on our website, you can look at products. This is all the products that we have. So single address, Lisp tool, here's his plugins and the APIs. I'll talk about each one of them. We've got pricing here. Let me hit that first. The pricing is right on the website. It's based on the number of lookups that you need. If you need 1,000 lookups, it's $30 and the lookups last for 1 month. If you need unlimited lookups, it's $1,000 and the lookups last for 1 month. You can also pay for that yearly. Again, on unlimited price is $10,000 per year. So that's the pricing. That's for US. We've got international as well. Let me jump back to the products. So our single address here is, hey, that's me. Here's a demo. This is fully functional. You are welcome to use it whether you're logged in or not. Not a problem. Let me just log in. Okay, perfect. You're logged in. You don't have to be logged in. I chose to log in because I'm going to do a lot more than just the 10 addresses that are available to do on the list tool. So here we are. This will demonstrate a couple things. First, let's do freeform. Now in both cases, on our demo here, we have our autocomplete turned on. So as I start typing, let's see, 1224, it's giving me examples. South, 760. Notice that it's already found Provo. He's giving a suggestion in Provo. That's because I'm in Provo. Our tool is able to geolocate based on your IP address. Based on where you or your user is, we can determine what the possible city or state is. Excuse me. So that was just autocomplete. Let's see, 1402 West Center. There is no West Center Street in Provo. Or that address is not the one I'm looking for. Or there it is. Didn't have to put the street in there. So it shows us information. So this found that the address is valid. Tells us that match the street, city, and state, confirmed entire address. Great. What if I change it? What if I go to 1406? Unknown address. Let's go back to 1402. Great. We can also come down and see, here's some information about the address. We can see the latitude and longitude and the precision for the latitude and longitude. In this case, it's a zip 9. That's the highest precision that we have. That is typically street level. Usually it's pretty close to the house. You'll also see zip 5 sometimes when all we have is the latitude and longitude of that particular zip code. We also let you know line of travel if that's interesting to you, daylight savings, residential or commercial. Here you've also got vacant or non-vacant, vacant or occupied. And then we let you know what's right about the address and what's not. Let's try putting some more on it. So 1402 West Center Street, apartment 301, for example. We'll just try that one. It says confirmed by ignoring secondary number. So our system was able to determine that yes, this is a secondary number. There's no secondary information for that address, but it's still there. So we left it. We're able to find a match. The analysis here, we see that the address is active. DPV match code of S. What does that mean? Well, I can click there and go to our documentation page. Let's see, DPV match code S, confirmed by dropping secondary number. So this is a valid deliverable address without the secondary number. But the secondary number, we leave it on there because it might be important information for you. So that was the freeform address demo. I can also do hidden address components. Same address, 1402 West Center. Let's jump down to Orem, Utah. So here I'm putting it in myself. Notice that it does autocomplete if we want to use that. We don't need to. We can. Let's view the results. Same thing. We were able to, it's found a valid address, match street, city, and state, confirmed entire address. This is some additional information. Magnet street syndrome, great. Not a problem. But what happens if I change it to street? Let's make it a street. Perfect. Better information. Looks like there are multiple center streets in Utah. What if I change it to Bullitt Parkway? Let's try that. Our system still fixes it. 1402 West Center Street. Perfect. What if I don't put one on at all? And what if I don't put that on there? Let's see what we get. Still finds 1402 West Center Street, Orem, Utah. What if I put a bad zip code on there? 90210. Still finds it because it found it by using the city and state. So what if I put, let's just leave no city and no state and put a zip code, 84057. View results, still found it. That's what our system does. It's attempting to match an address that you give us to a known address in the U.S. Postal Service data set. Let's try misspelling it a little bit with an S. Center, didn't find it. How about C-E-N-T-E-R-R? Okay, there I found it. It didn't like it with the S. How about two N's? Whoops. Still found it. It's that S at the beginning. There are certain things that just have to be there. Let's try that. Nope, too many. That street name is now too far off from where we need it to be. Our system still tries to return the information that we can. So from this, we guessed that 1402 is a primary number, that C-E-N-N-T-T-E-R-R is the street name. Here's the city, state, and zip code. So this is the information that we return to you every time. So that's US, both freeform and components. What about the international? Actually, let's go back to US. We also have a zip code API. You can do the same thing. Let's look for Provo, Utah. Find all the zip codes for Provo, Utah. Looks like there are 6 of them. So there's the response. I forgot something. Let's go back to this one. If I do a sample, notice that we get the results here, but we also allow you to see the raw output. This is our JSON response. And we'll get to that more when we look at the API. So that was US addresses. Let's do international. International is a little bit different. The items that we return differ slightly. Let's do freeform first. We'll just try a sample. Here's an address in Japan. Great. We return similar information. Here's all the components. The administrative area is like a province or a state. Locality is a city. Oh, Fukuoka-shi. Yeah, I'm pronouncing that wrong. But here's all the components for that address. It was verified to the premise level. Premise means the building. Now, what if I change that? Let's go to 47. I'm not sure what that is. 47, slightly. 4-17. And 44. Partially matched. This one was matched down to the street level. So the street is good, the house number is not. So we give you information like that to let you know what's good or bad about the address. Here we have components, same thing as the US tool. Let's just put some Germany, French, Polynesia. Here's Russian. So here's addresses that are not using Latin-based characters. View the results, and the results are also in Latin, or also in Cyrillic or Russian here, as expected. So that is our single address demo. Let me jump over to the API. Now everything uses the API, but this is one way you can demo it or test it out. Let's try a sample address. Let's do international, just because I was working on that address. So let's try that same Russian one. Okay, so here's the output. Notice it's in Cyrillic. If that doesn't help you, then let's see if we can do something different about that. Let's change language. Let's go to Latin. Oh, payment required. Let's log back out. Okay, now I can do that. Okay, let's choose that same Russian address. Great, let's change this. Select component, let's go to language. View the response. Now our system tries to transliterate, which is not translation. It's doing the best that it can to find the English word for that. Notice that the response is now in using Latin characters. So this way you can test the API. Here's the international. You can see the actual request. If you want to test with a curl request, here's the raw HTTP request that you could submit to our API on your own. You can use any of our SDKs. I'll get to that in a second. Let's go back to APIs, but US APIs. Now, we have people ask frequently, why are they getting information back that's different from when using the demo? Why are they getting something back that's different than what they get when they try using the SDK or when they try programming it themselves? Well, there's a few values that we're submitting that you might not be. Here's one: match. By default, our system uses match equals strict, so it only returns a response if the address is valid. Let's change it. Let's change it to give us a response even when the address is invalid. So notice it gave a response here, but that's, let's look at the analysis. Analysis, DPV match code of Y. So yes, this is a valid address. Let's change it. I'm just guessing here. Let's go to 84 Frontage Road. Still get a response. In this case, the DPV match code is N for not valid. If we change this, if we remove match value, let's try it again. Now there's an empty response. So that's one of the key things that people ask. Hey, how come our response is different than on your demo? That might be why. Let's move forward and look at plugin. We have a plugin that you can use. It's a jQuery plugin. You can put this right on your website. Here is the code that you might put in. Basically, you're just putting in, here's a key that you're using. You're calling out this jQuery plugin with some values. And it attaches itself to any form that's on your page. In this case, here's just a simple form. Let's go country, USA. We have autocomplete turned on. And the response will come back populating it with the information you're looking for. I can change that. Here's autocomplete set to 5. Let's go, what do I want to change? Let's change that to, oh, it's not editable right here. Let's edit this in JSFiddle. Okay, same thing. Autocomplete, let's set that to, here's what we were seeing before. It's returning a maximum of 5 suggestions. Let's change it to 10. Just hit run and try that again. Now it's returning 10 results. So this is code that you could drop right into your website. Here's the documentation, and we'll go to the documentation in a second. So that's just a demo, an example of how it could work. Undo that address. Checkbox is, or checkmark, a green checkmark is there anytime an address is valid. Let's go to one more. Let's look at the list tool. So on our website, this is a tool that you can use to verify up to 50,000 addresses at a time. It's fast. It's really fast. Let me try the small amount first. Here are all 42,000 of the McDonald's addresses in the country. Well, let's go smaller than that. Okay, so let's see. McDonald's and the different locations. So I'm just gonna take all of them. There's 42,000. Go back to the site. This demo says it's limited to 10 records. I don't want to do just 10, so let me log in. Put in my password there. Great, now I'm logged in. I'm validating US addresses. I can do international or zip codes. Let's do US. So just paste my information in there. Takes a couple seconds to paste it in because it's 43,000 addresses. There it is. Nothing left to format here. I'm just going to scroll down. Step 3 is process my list. And it's running through. Pretty quick. And that'll be done. Now, because it's in a browser, it also takes 20 or 30 seconds to combine that back together and get it ready to be pasted back out. But this is the copy-paste process. I'm copying from Excel. Oops. There's Excel. That's what I copied out. Pasted that into my browser here. Hit submit to send that to our system for processing, and I'm just going to copy and paste it back into Excel as soon as it finishes here. Well, while that's going, let's look at resources. Okay, it's still too early. In the meantime, we have another tool that's based on the same list processing tool. It's called our command line tool, or command line interface. You can do the same thing, but it's not limited to 50,000 addresses. You can do millions and billions of addresses. Any addresses that you can put, any size list that you can put in a CSV file, you can process that way through our command line tool. Let's just go over there. Resources, documentation. So you can get there. Let's look at SmartyList. SmartyList is the tool we were just looking at. Web interface, we just saw. Command line interface. That's what we would do here. You can download that, and then very simply you just run that in the command line. Command prompt on Windows or command line on Unix or a Mac. This is what you're going to run. Something as simple as, for me, on a Mac, /SmartyList, auth ID and token, that's authentication, and then the input file, the name of the file, and the output file will match the input file. So very easy to use. While I'm here, let's see, did that finish yet? Where did I go? Lost my list. Let's try it again. Let's just come down here, scroll down below, and it says help. Click here to load the previously processed list. Okay. This is a smaller list that I had done before. Let's do a smaller list. Let's just take, my computer seems to be slow right now. Let's take that list. Paste it in, process the list. It's done. Now I can just hit Command-C to copy that back out. Go into Excel, and I'm just going to paste. So here's what I'm trying to paste in. Hit OK, and it's got it. So we leave all the original information. Don't change that at all. What we return is additional information. So these first two and number 12 are not a match. That address is no longer valid. We standardize the address as needed. In this case, oh, that one was not valid. That's why we didn't standardize it. Let's see this one. Northern Lights Boulevard. We return a summary here that says address is mailable. So we found a match. We return all the same kind of information that you saw on the demo page and on the API. Here's the full zip code. Here's notes about what we did. Standardized, match street, city, and state, and confirm entire address. It's commercial or residential. Commercial. Latitude, longitude, DPV match code, congressional district, and then here's all the components off to the right. So everything is there just like before. So we'll kill that list because we don't need it. Okay, back on here. Looking at the documentation, we have this documentation gets updated frequently. Anytime we need to make a change, we make that so that you always have access to our full documentation. Command line interface, if you want to know what the fields mean, the output fields, we give a summary: no match, match mailable, match vacant, match inactive, things like that. International is slightly different, but not too much. We still let you know whether it's a match, what kind of match, and give the latitude and longitude. What we don't have is residential or commercial, or whether it's vacant, and a few things like that. Let's look at our regular documentation. So for using the Cloud API, for using our US Address API, this is the best documentation you'll find. It's clear, easy to use. First of all, do not read this. We say that, but we'd like you to read this. This is actually best practices, things that you'll want to do. Street Address API. Get familiar with this. If you're using our service for anything other than the web copy-paste tool, get familiar with this. Shows you how to create a lookup. You can do it one address at a time or multiple addresses at a time. Here are the fields that you can submit. Here are the error codes. It's all there. Oh, one thing I did not show you. Log out. I am logged in. That's perfect. Let me show you the extraction tool. It's kind of a neat one that not everyone knows about. US Address Extraction Tool. So here you can take, let's try a sample. Here's a string. SmartyStreets can handle addresses in URLs. So the address here is, there's two of them. They are embedded within this HTML. Great. Let's see what our system can do with it. Let's try and extract it. Extracted. It matched two addresses. Perfect. It found the addresses within the code. Oh, I didn't even notice there's a third one. Should have seen that. It's right there. So found two addresses there. This one North Rosedale and one South Rosedale. The reason for that is that look, the input here was 1 Rosedale, Baltimore, Maryland. Let's just take that over to our demo. See what happens in the case of an ambiguous address. 1 Rosedale, Baltimore, Maryland. The response says, there are two. There's one north and one south. Our system can't determine which one is better because there's not a better. There's a 1 north and a 1 south. That's something you can return to your customers. Here's another sample. Special characters. Great. Here's more HTML. Here's multiples. You've got valid ones and invalid ones. Let's try that. Matched one address. Okay, so I found the addresses. So that is our extraction tool. I think I hit everything. Oh, it didn't hit the documentation for the SDK, our SDKs. So you can use this if you are familiar with Android, .NET, Go, iOS, Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, or Ruby. We already have an SDK that you can use. The SDK really makes it easy for you to tie into our system and get responses without having to understand all the nuances of our system. One more thing, you are welcome to, one option we have is for you to download and locally host our API. It's the exact same API, exact same data, so the way you'll interact with it will be exactly the same as it is with our cloud service, but you can host it locally. So for banks and other companies that really are concerned about any address data leaving their network, our local API is perfect for that. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.